Sabi mo, Raymond, totally unique like everybody else, di ba?
Ano sabi nun eh. Always remember that you are unique, just like everyone else.
You don't have to know eh. You already know, hindi alam yung alam nyo eh. Grabing kayamanan yung kaalaman ninyo eh. So, i-share ninyo. So, ano ba talaga ang real filmmaking? I'm curious to get answers from you guys. Ano sa iyo talaga?
Ang hirap sagutin kasi ang daming aspects, ang daming dimensions. No? Pero siguro, pwede natin pag-usapan yung mga iba-ibang dimensions. No? Siguro yung isang dimension nun, pag itutuhan ng authentic na filmmaking, na filmmaker, dapat meron kang bold vision. Okay. Hindi pwedeng mawala yan. Totohanan na filmmaking, parang sinasabi mo, okay, ganito yung reality natin, ito yung meron tayo, pero it can be better. Pwedeng mas ganito. So yung totohanan ng mga world-class filmmakers, yun yung starting point. Meron kang ibang klaseng vision about society. No?
Kaya actually kung nag-start tayo, yung unang question ko, what is art? Hindi ka pwede magkaroon ng art na walang vision eh. Hindi ka pwede magkaroon ng art na fragmentary and separative kasi ang nature ng art is unifying at saka harmonic. So the very nature of art is harmonic. Tapos yung intention mo, yung vision mo, unifying and harmonic na eh. Kaya doon pwede makumpisa sa ano ba yung art sa'yo. At saka ang maganda kasi ron sa wag mo lang art filmmaking kagad, kundi pwede rin, katulad ginawa mo, pero art itself kasi itong mga narito, multi-artists itong mga ito eh. Hindi naman si Raymond filmmaker lang, hindi ba nagpipinta ka?
Bahay lang.
Collage.
Collage. So, yun naman meron eh. See? All of these are many faceted artists eh. Ito alam po, actor. Pero, ano mali ko kung ginagawa nito? Baka magaling magluto yan. Art din yung luto eh. Pero again, unifying and ano yun, hindi ka pwede magluto ng may poison. O si Ian, writer, fantastic. Yung ka-soulmate ni sa Pilipinas, si sa Ian. Pero grabe magpinta, Sus Mariosep. Tataranta ako pag nakikita ko yung mga painting nito. So, siguro yung palabas muna natin yung what makes you you eh. Yung art, what is art to you?
Yung reflection ng life.
Wow.
Kung paano mo makaka-capture yun or paano mo mahuhuli yung totoo.
Yes. Sa akin. Real filmmaking is creative and effective telling of a story in moving images to move people.
Yung filmmaking kasi nung 80s, nung nagsimula kami mag-filmmake, ang dating talaga sa akin nun, parang yung first time mo nung elementary ka nakuha ng Crayola. Di ba? First time mo. May Super 8 camera kami sa bahay, pero hindi ko talaga siya nilalaro. Nung gumawa kami, may ganito pala. Tapos si Rez, pati yung amoy na parang yung amoy nung film. Tapos parang pag nag-iisip ng scenes, ng story, mga references kayo, di ba? Ang ganda ng shots sa kanila, gawin natin. Pero ang gusto mo lang. Tapos actually yung first script namin, ginawa ko siya. Hindi ko pa alam na pwede gumawa ng movie. So ginawa ko siya, intent ko siya parang play. Tapos habang tumatanda, syempre, gusto mo ganun yung process lagi. Process, environment, di ba nung nagkakilala tayo sa MOWELFUND, ang laking din nun sa akin. Yung film nila, di ba? May ganun palang movie, hindi mo alam. Di ba?
Inspiration lang.
Yun.
You are inspired by other kindred artists. Kasi ikaw na yun eh. Actually, ikaw na yung art eh. Kaya maski na anong gawin mo, dapat hindi mawala yung ikaw. Yun lang ang talagang importante doon.
Pero ako yung talaga nung passion nung gumagawa. No? So, okay yan. Pero meron ding mga very passionate na hindi magaling na filmmakers.
Passion kasi is dalibog eh. Yung passion can be misused eh. Making art that will touch other people.
Pwedeng mapag-usapan din siya. Yung pag sinabi mong art, dapat meron yung form and content. So, mali-mali yung kuha mo, mali yung film language, mali yung gamit mo ng color. So, dalawa yun na dapat talagang dinidikit. So, meron yung aspect ng ganun nga, visionary ka, passionate ka, tsaka willing to learn ka, etc. Meron yun. Pero may aspect din yun. Dapat medyo magaling ka rin dun sa form.
Pero yung content, hindi na pag-aaralan yung personal choice yun. Kung ikaw ay mapagmahal na tao, hindi na pag-aaralan yun. Yung form, yung sabi mo yung skill ng filmmaking, na pag-aaralan yun.
So, gusto kong maiparating na message na daragdagan at saka mas concrete. Doon ako napaano sa film kung bakit. Kasi mas mas documentary filmmaker kami. Tapos yung sinasabi mo ang form, susunod na susunod yun eh. Kaya importante, yun, sabi nga ni Sir Pan, dapat may objective, di ba? Malinaw yung objective mo, paano talagang gagawin mo. Kasi maraming pwedeng gawing film eh. Sa documentary, may deeper understanding ka dun sa kung ano yung gagawin mo.
Parang related din sa sinabi ni Aya. Kasi nga, we were schoolmates at the Special Arts High School. So nung pagdating namin sa UP Film Center, eventually MOWELFUND, doon ako nag-start ng film. Inaya ko si Aya. Meron na kaming formal education in art, visual arts primarily. Painting kami, we study art history na rin. May konting sculpture din sa Makiling. And then I also went through photography. May photography na elective eh. So parang siguro yun yung technical side. So because of the interest in photography and then painting, and maybe that innate parang desire to tell stories.
Yan.
Kaya ako naisip, baka magandang pasukin ng film even though I was taking up fine arts sa UP. I really thought magiging painter ako. Yun ang pangarap ko, maging magaling na painter. But quite frankly, hindi ako skilled eh. Hindi ako masyado So yung paintings were very impressionist, sometimes abstract. But I realized, nagkikwento ako sa paintings ko eh. So yun, kanina binabanggit niyo yung time, space, motion din sa painting. But it's virtual eh. Iba siyang dimension. So hindi ko inisip na better art form siguro to. Naisip ko lang, baka ito yung art form na mas may express ko yung gusto kong ikwento. Na dati, hirap na hirap ako sa painting. Hindi ko mailabas sa painting. So, tinry ko yung filmmaking. And yun yung realization, parang ganda pala nitong medium na to. Yung dad ko, may Super 8 din naman. Nilalaro ko na rin dati. But, I was never serious sa paggamit nun. But nung nag-UP Film Center ako, workshops, and then eventually MOWELFUND, nandito ko si Surf. Parang rin nabuksan yung isip ko, na-inspire ako na pwede kong aralin to. But I think ang pinakamagandang natutunan ko sa iyo, Surf, from the very beginning, nung binanggit mo nga. And sinabi mo na yung word kanina eh. Sabi mo, it's intuitive. Yun yung realization ko, parang unang hawak parang intuition eh, and almost instinctive.
Yeah.
Na-realize ko, and later, nung tinuturo mo ng film language, film grammar, na-realize ko na, yung pala tawag doon. Pero alam ko na siya eh. Hindi lang ako conscious.
Okay.
May ganun pala ako.
Exactly.
Na pag magkikwento ka, you see a person, and I want to see his emotion eh. So I want to do a close-up. I want to see it closer. So,
Exactly.
it's instinctive eh, even for the viewer.
Yeah.
And that's why, pag tinuturo ko na ngayon sa mga students, sabi ko, makakatulong, basahin niyo yung books, theories ng cinema. Even all the way to semiology and all that. And it's helpful. But if you think about it, all of those concepts, nilay down ng theorists and intellectuals because they based it on what evolved. Yeah. So yung rules of cinema, actually nanggaling sa instinct. Kaya normalize nila.
Exactly.
So if you look back, sabi ko, okay, ma-intimidate, try to understand where it actually came from.
Yeah.
So yun, di ba yung silent cinema nga, sinasabi ko. Early silent cinema, parang stage play. They just shoot it on a full shot. And then at some point, somebody realized, why didn't we, because the cameras were bulky. Why don't we move closer? And then suddenly, the cut was born.
That's
The
right.
early cinema was just one shot.
That's right.
Train arriving in a station, di ba? Those famous films ng Lumiere, di ba? But eventually, naisip na, pwede pala mag-cut. It's so powerful. The most powerful invention in, one of the first inventions in film grammar is to cut.
Let me just add, pick up where you stop now. I just want to elaborate. Kasi ang cutting, which is to make the essence of the power of film. Iba-iba kasi yung form ng arte. Theater is just theater. You know, everything happens in front of you. Walang zoom in, walang cut to cut, walang etc. The beauty about the power of film is that, what does it mean when you can cut? It means you can put the audience in the best position to see what is happening in the story. So, kung susuntokin siyang ganun pulsa, parang binamatsakin ka, ang camera sa lalim na, sumabog ang dugong gano'n. So, infinite ang variations, how you can use the power of moving from one to put the audience where they should most effectively be. So, it's really, always, you cannot separate yourself from the audience. What you're doing for yourself, but you are also doing yung vision. Kasi, vision for what? Parati yun, there's your audience. Continue. So, cutting.
And marami siyang forms na pwede. And in cinema nga, ang daming na-develop through the years. Diba? Documentary, they discovered animation, they discovered experimental cinema, and so on. So marami siyang ways to express those ideas, thoughts, feelings, and stories. Nagbabasa ako ng books, so I had to read the formal things and try to educate myself. But parang yun ang ginagawa ko, yung sinasabi ko. So when you're reading these, yes, you'll learn a lot, but parang keep in mind, saan din galing yan? Yung ideas na yun. Nag-evolve yan from something more natural.
Baka kasi, pag ginamit mo yung theater sa film, para kang experimental. Hindi pa nila ginagawa yun. Yung shoot ka ng isang shot for 2 hours na walang cut. Pero sa akin, hindi yun tamang reason for art. Kasi may agenda na gagawin ko yung hindi pa nila nagagawa. Hindi yun ang objective ng art.
Pero saan papasok yung artistry dun sa mga givens na yun?
Art is where love dwells. So if you, whatever you do out of your...
Is heart.
Art is heart. H-E, tapos malaking A-R-T. Kaya sa aking Facebook is the heart of Surf Reyes. So all art is already there kasi art is the essence nga sinasabi niya . It is actually spiritual . Kaya lang, people, ang alipin ng mga tao sa pag-iisip kasi nag-aral sila. So intellectual sila. Kailangan nilang explain, sukatin, etc. Paano mo susukatin yung walang sukat? Yung paano, ilang inches yung pagmamahal mo rin sa mahal mong tao. Ilang inches, ilang pounds, paano kalaki, how much space does it
Pero kung nakaka-identify ako sa sinasabi ni Rez, minsan yung art, pag binigay mo yung limitations ng genre, at you applied yourself within the limitations of the genre, minsan yung beauty lang, mas nakikita mo . So, alam mo, haiku, may ganitong verse. Pwede naman wala nun . Pero pag in-apply mo yung sarili mo, nagpa-constrict ka dun sa convention, tapos may lumabas na maganda, parang mas okay, di ba?
Naintindihan ko yung sinasabi mo. Sabi mo, the soul which is infinite chooses to be
correct,
to limit itself to a canvas, no? Para lumabas yung kanya, he can go beyond the canvas. No? Pero yun yung tama. Pero merong mali nga na ano ba yung nang pinanggalingan ng lintik na givens? Wala namang givens talaga . Tayo ang gumagawa ng givens . That is restriction. That is intellectual structures and programming and indoctrination na kailangan ng film is 90 minutes. I'll give you an example. His award-winning sa kan is 45 minutes?
Hindi, 12 lang.
12 lang? O, 12 minutes lang. Sa akin kasi, ang dapat nagbibigay ng limit ng time is the story. Sa pagtuturo ko ng workshop ko the story is the master. Lahat. Siya ang dapat isi-serve ng lahat. Ng director, ng cinematographer, ng everything must serve the master which is the story. So, pagtatanong, paano kahaba? Tanungin mo yung story. Kung paano kahaba siya ititel, yun ang haba nun. So, sa kanya 10 minutes lang. Kaya nga, maraming pangit na movies kaya pinipilit nilang ilagay sa 90 minutes kasi yun yung given na ang content ng story is only 30 minutes. Kaya, probinsyano, excuse me. So, pag pinilit mo, para lang tumama doon, nakakaletse-letse na. Dapat allow it to be, ngayon, yung given sa commercial, where I came from, syempre 30 seconds kasi yun lang ang ang babayaran mo sa estasyon eh. Pero pag art, we're talking of art eh. Art is not art unless there's freedom from restriction. If there are restrictions, you choose to put it there. You
So,
are not
meaning,
restricted by some
walang space ang artistry mo pag dun sa mga commissioned work.
Pag commissioned work kasi, ako have no problems with commissioned work. Because they trust me. That's why I don't make movies, because the producer will call me in the neck and I will not compromise. You can kill me but I will not compromise my art. So, matigas ang ulo ko, ay ako yun, choice ko yun eh.
No, but I'm talking about...
But I realized some other people na when I was doing commercials, I was compromising because that's my livelihood. That's not my art. So, tinatago ko lang yung art ko dun sa cinematography ko. Pero I don't care about the story. Walang vision yun eh. Di ba? So, yun ang yan ang pragmatic side ng art. Art can exist even if it is in the mga merong givens. Kasi wala kang magawa sa given. Either they will kill you or they will not pay you. So, papayag ka doon. Pero you stay with your art. Galing ka pa rin sa puso dun sa art mo. Ano ang progression ng shot nito? Ano ang visual idea nito? Yun, hindi na pwedeng pakialaman yun. Basta masunod yung kanilang... So, yun ang compromise.
Yun nga, how far you can compromise and naandun pa rin yung artistry.
Based on what he's saying, na art is life itself, no? There's no talk of compromise, there's no talk of anything else. Tayo ang nagkikreate ng sige na lang, magpapakaputan na lang ako. Hindi art yun eh. Pero, I respect it, but it's not art. We're talking of art here, and art is never compromised because it's spiritual eh. Like love, it can't be compromised. I will love you only up to this point and then not love you there. That's not love. That is a fake diamond. So, we're now going into the fake diamond. Let's stop going into the direction kasi that's the scores of big business. Now you're measuring how much money they make and that art has no concern. Art has no concern for that.
So, yung artistry is very limiting.
Better way to look at something like that. Of course, extreme example ang Rudin. So parang you as an artist, you recognize the parameters and then you see where you can still express your artistry. And if you realize you can't, ganun ako eh. Then I won't do
I
it.
agree.
I won't
Ako,
accept
ganun
it.
din ako.
But parang ang point ko, wala ring negative about doing something that has certain parameters. As long as you recognize it.
I agree.
So, yung inisip mong art, pwede naman eh within these parameters. Yun nga, yung 2 hours na banggit ka na, ang movie is 2 hours. It's funny, if I'm not mistaken, I read that somewhere. Do you know the origin why eventually a commercial film should be around 2 hours? The tradition was based on theater then, performing arts, where every 2 hours they at least have a intermission because people have to take a leak. So naisip na, why not make a movie 2 hours? Exacto, so that they stay within the 2 hours. They don't have to take a leak. Kasi you'll feel the sensation to take a piss only after 2 hours. In fact, sometimes 3 hours. So, and that's the reason why parang through the years, naging gano'n ang Hollywood commercial film, 2 hours more or less.
The essence is, the story should determine how long the film is. It should not be anyone or anything. Kasi it's the story is the master eh. So, there are insights. Alam mo, ito yung akin din dito sa grupong ito eh. Kaya ako kayo pinili, yung may insight.
Express it right away. Katulad sa aming artista.
Yes.
From the stimulus, may process yan eh. Hanggang you have to express it. Hindi mo na pag-iisipan pa.
Hindi.
Kailangan lang, express mo lang anong naramdaman mo in that particular situation.
Yes.
Kasi may given naman eh. As an actor, ang gusto mong ma-achieve dito sa scene na ito ay maging malungkot ka. Ang stimulus, namatay yung tatay mo. So, you don't have to intellectualize and you have to be spontaneous para maging fresh yung experience. Na hindi katulad sa stage, maraming rehearsal, so nagiging kailangan pareho yung proseso. Pero sa sa pelikula, it's nearer than reality. Na pag nag-take two, pwedeng maging iba yung dating. Kasi
Tama.
yung basta sinunod mo lang yung process na pinakinggan mo lang or sinunod mo lang yung feelings
Tama.
na involved doon sa particular scene at na-achieve mo naman yung gustong mangyari. So, that's it.
I agree.
Hindi mo kailangan pag-isipan pa kasi magkakaroon ng influence yung
Isipan.
background mo, yung pinag-aralan mo, yung family mo, makukurap pa. Pero kung feelings lang ang sinundan mo, walang, it's pure.
Isang bagay kasi pwede iparating, iba-ibang klase.
Oo.
Pero nasa iyo yun, as artist, kung paano maparating na mas effective.
Tama. Agree. I
Siguro-
agree totally.
Pwede kong dagdagan yung kay Jokwa, tapos ibabalik ko dun sa agenda ni Daniel tungkol dun sa social change. Ano yung film sa social change. Ang mahalaga kasi dun sa filmmaker, pag nandun ka sa larangan ng pagbabago ng lipunan, dapat meron kang social awareness.
Of course.
Yun yung pinakamahirap ma-discover. Kasi maraming mga structures of oppression and marginalization, normally hidden yan sa ordinaryong tao. Camouflage yan dun sa mga politiko, sa mga corporation, so hindi nakikita yan. So yun yung mga pinakamahirap. So dapat magaling ka doon, may vision ka, may enthusiasm ka, meron kang gano'n, may konting art ka, pero dapat socially aware ka.
Oo. Number one.
Yun yung parang mahirap pag ganun yung hinahabol mong objectives, di ba? Social renewal. Tapos makikita mo rin na yung ginagawa mo, necessary condition siya for change, but by itself, hindi siya enough. When you, parang makita mo in the real world, kailangan pala merong mag-strategize nung paano yung change, tapos may ganito. Tapos pag pinasok mo yung communication component, magiging very effective. So napakahalaga ng communication plan, pero by itself, parang bitin.
Iba pang element na yun, ibang klaseng art din yun eh. Yung creative strategy, art din yun eh. Creative, anything creative is art. Kaya lang it apply to business, the art of business, etc.
Ang gusto ko siguro i-point out dito, lalo, yung internet, makatulong yan sa mga social activists. Pero paano mo papaliwanag ang structures of injustice in 30 seconds or in one click?
But we're getting out of our subject for now. But it's good. It's good. It's part of it eh. Let's go back to art. Ang creative faculties, pumunta ko sa kanya, ang creative faculties of the heart and soul, that comes from the heart and soul is inspiration, intuition. Hindi niya kailangan yung intellectual mind mo. Filmmaking to me is dream making. Pero ang dream is, kung kayo nag-dream tulad ng dreams ko, kailangan purely heart ka habang ginagawa mo yung art mo. You have to be in a state of inspiration, intuition, imagination. Huwag ka magpapakurap sa intellectual mind. Pag buo na, saan mo ipapasa ngayon sa, ano ba yung intellectual mind? It makes it possible to manifest your art. Kasi yung art mo, nasa loob mo eh. Nasa etheric side.
Ako, iba yun.
To bring it to the world, no? You have to hire this and get this equipment and find location, etc. Yung intellectual lahat yun. Ay, pero focus on the art muna kasi doon sumasablay ang marami. They are overconfident that they already have art. Anong art sinasabi mo? Pag merong pinanggalingan ng intellectual mind, hindi art yan. Kasi art is of the heart, not of the mind.
Pinaka-creative ka when you consult with many people. Parang sa akin, yun yung pinaka-effective way of...
Tama yun, process yung sinasabi mo. Pero anong essence ng art? Yung love mo to make the film.
Yeah.
Love is the only essence of true art.
I think dun sa process, diba you mentioned about communication. So, paano mo i-implement yun kung hindi mo ma-convey sa artista mo kung ano yun? You have to intellectualize yung communication lang. Pero in terms of para bang sa aming artista, don't intellectualize your process ng acting. At irespeto mo naman yung trabaho ko bilang artista, let me work. Huwag mo naman akong gawing robot at sabihin mo sa akin, ito gawin mo, blah 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 blah.
I agree.
So, yun, tama ka rin yung papasok yung pag-intellectualize dun sa approach at dun sa communication mo, dun sa gagamitin mong iba-ibang sektor, dun sa
Ang sabi kasi
paggawa ng
ni,
pelikula.
I take it from Jokwa. Tama si Jokwa eh. Pinoproblema yung intellectual din yun. Pinoproblema niyo yung paano i-communicate, anong mangyayari pag i-market nito. Sabi nga, paano dapat malaman mo yung grammar ng film. Tama yung sagot niya eh. Pag you are inspired and you work within Tison, darating sa'yo lahat nun. Why are you worrying about it? Fear is the problem, and fear is only in the intellectual mind. Baka kailangan ganito, kailangan ganito. Huwag ka muna tumingin dyan. Stay with your heart and it will follow. Yung sasabi niya, it will come to you.
Actually, ang formula ang inaano ko, hanggat nakukuha ko yung interest nung nanonood dun sa ginagawa ko, successful ako.
Tama.
Yun yung key eh. Hindi yung kasi pagka nawala na sila, tinamad, sabihin, boring. Wala na. Nag-fail na yung
Hindi ka na effective. Yun siya sabi ni Raymond.
Yun yung importante.
Sabi niya, as an artist, I only consider my art successful when I have provoked, challenged the audience to...
Kasi pag nalaman niya, kunyari na nanonood ako, na-realize, ay, pelikula lang pala to. Feel na ako. Dapat hindi niya na ano eh, pero yung nararamdaman niya,
Yun.
nalalaman
Yung nararamdaman ang key.
nararamdaman yung kung ano yung gusto kong message na ipalabas sa kanya. Tapos, wala siyang time. Mawala yung time pagka gano'n eh.
Yung sinasabi ng Pinoy na ay walang puso. Yun yung expression na yan, di ba? Sometimes you watch something, it can be very beautifully shot, pero
walang puso.
Parang walang puso. Yun eh, hinahanap natin yun.
Yun, tama.
So naiintindihan ko yung sinasabi ni Sir na doon kasi nagsimula yun. Diba? Kaya lang, I said na nag-agree. So I think what Joey's trying to say is eventually you will need your intellect to support that.
Servant vehicle mo yung you need a computer to be able to go Facebook. Pero huwag ka mapaalipin sa kanya. It cannot give you happiness, it cannot give you love. It is a servant, it will behave as a servant if you lead with the heart. Susunod siya kasi sa heart is where the context of wholeness, of unity, of harmony. Ang mind kasi, infinite fragments eh. Pag walang wholeness na context yan, kung saan pupunta yan. Kasi art is the reflection of life itself. Kaya sabi ko, ultimately, your greatest artwork is your life itself. People do not know that.
May gagawin na. Hindi lang siya yung kunyari film. Hindi lang siya film.
Tama.
Kumbaga parang kunyari, nung ginawa namin yung sa akin yun, parang nagsesentimiento ako nung natapos yung high school life ko. Ginawan ko siya ng more. So ngayon, pag may gagawa ka ng kahit na pati yung mga choices ko, bakit yung ginagamit ko, kumbaga, naka-apekto rin yung kung ano yung buhay ko ngayon, purely from an art point of view. Although yung art, parang nagiging nga siya, ganito sinabi nila, parang it's about life eh, parang siya yung kabuuan.
Yung sa no acting please, ganun eh. Parang you'll never go wrong.
You never go wrong.
Pag doon ka lang sa pakiramdam.
Exactly.
Walang mali, walang tama. Basta yun nga, sa amin importante rin yun eh. Yung choice approach.
Ano yung sabihin nun?
Kasi, kunyari, meron kang, as an actor, sa scene na ito, meron kang obligation. So, paano mo mararating yung obligation na yun? Ano ang choice na gagamitin mo? At ano ang choice approach? So, of course, hindi mo magagawa yon kung hindi ka dumaan dun sa
process, sa training
nung
maintindihan mo yung process
acting please na just be at kailangan para magamit mo yung being yung ikaw lang ang kailangan mo lang ito puso lang so dapat magagawa mo yun sa workshop dahil yun ang training pero pagdating mo sa set
iba na yun
dapat na yun automatic na yun para bang kasi, bago ka dumating, nabasa mo yung script. So, ano ang pakiramdam na kailangan dito sa eksena nito?
I'm trying to create some sort of interactive docu, which is some sort of social history of Philippine cinema media, even to a certain extent journalism in the 80s.
And your period of concern doesn't go up to now.
No.
So it's just strictly the 80s.
Primarily pre and post ed sites. I'm using ed sites to kind of bracket and think about history, what happened before and after for artists and producers, even journalists.
Okay.
To the extent that I can. Maybe I will not come up with very insightful conclusions, but that's the framework. And I'm focused more on some of the labor films, the films that are dealing with labor issues, and kind of more activist themes, just because it was common at that time. What was the environment in the 80s like, and what did it create, and what were people thinking? And so this dialogue is great because it's informing a lot of that, for artists and for filmmakers in particular. Or even an artist thinking about politics and art at the same time.
Whereas somebody like Lino, his film was his politics more direct. So I guess a lot of us also, you could say some of my films may be political, it can be read that way. But not, I'm never absolutely conscious of that, but I do have
No intention.
I have a stand whenever I make a film. I express my convictions when I make a film. And when you do that, it's linked to politics. Even if you're not conscious about it, it will ultimately be linked. I mean, some of my films.
During this time, I made this Sabangan. It's about submerging Sierra Madre. We did a documentary on that. They are doing this planning na during those time. That's the intention actually, to give power and water to that yung plano niya. Yung pati Malacanang lilipat na nila dapat towards Quezon. They built already yung kalsada actually. You know what? I'm also working with NEDA then, that's a government agency.
It's interesting that NEDA, they sanctioned and supported the project and even distributed it.
We went to different regions. Iba yung mga kasama namin is shot in yung Super 8 film. So politics is not actually I don't know. Basta the intention is to show development for whom.
And I guess the film probably influenced other artists too, I imagine, the approach that you made.
The intention is actually to give to give message. We went to Baguio, went to Iloilo. The thesis is development for whom. That was what yun yung aming thesis. Development for whom?
Because if they build that dam, how many barangay will be submerged?
Nadami actually.
Saka yung environmental issue naman.
It's Sierra Madre. They were submerged Sierra Madre.
We're more of the 80s generation of filmmakers, and we really began as independent, alternative. In fact, the word alternative is more a key word. That we were doing something alternative to what is mainstream, to what is official cinema. We were shooting on Super 8. Alternative medium, alternative means of distribution or exhibition. We're just carrying, we carry our Super 8 cameras from classroom to classroom to cultural institutions, wherever. So that's the true essence of alternative film.
The way we influence others are through different venues. One of them is through our works, through our film products, paintings, etc. The other is through our way of life.
Exactly.
Through our life witness,
That is the
how we
main
conduct
thing.
our everyday. So that's the second way. The third way is through advocacies. So if you're involved in a certain NGO or a campaign, etc. So that's the other way that you do it. You put up an institution, etc. That's another way of doing it. So it's very hard to talk about our effect, limiting it from the perspective only of our art products. It's very hard to do that because Gino would speak in rallies and so that's his advocacy. And then his way of life. So that's the way to influence. That's the way you influence others. That's how you inspire others. That's how you galvanize them to action.
Your greatest art is your life itself. That is number one. You cannot do anything. That's why I keep telling people. That's why it's personal and social transformation. social transformation is impossible unless you first start with personal. So unless you actually live it, as you're saying, you actually live your advocacy, don't ever expect to influence anybody else. But if you're living it, the energy that's generated is infectious. Anybody who has the same predisposition, may influence mo agad. Kasi merong reality.
And what Daniel here is trying to get at is that there is another way of communicating and influencing others. It is through the academic, scholarly dialogue and discourse, through books and conferences, etc. Many artists are not capable of that. Being able to, you articulate it in a school,
I don't like how it
university.
sounds, that are not capable. They are not predisposed for that because they're heart-centered, and then you're forcing them to go into academic, which is intellectual.
Semantics. Sorry, but I will attest to that kasi I wasn't capable of communicating like this before.
That's your judgment
I
of
learned
yourself.
it through the years.
And then, but your
And that's why I'm
communication-
teaching now in Benil.
Yeah, but your communication.
But I don't have a degree.
But you are communicating. You're communicating from intellectual. You are communicating from intuition, my brother. You are.
Yes,
You are from inspiration,
I've kept
from
that.
intuition,
I've kept
from
that.
your experience of
But
being who you are and
I'm
your
now
sense of
able to
aesthetic.
use my intellect
I
to
saw
teach.
That. I saw that, but that's not really using intellect. It's just a tool. There is a danger in your approach that, especially, I have no problem when you say some people are not yet capable, but when you say some artists are not capable, wait, what a true artist is true, I understand. Hindi sila left brain, right brain sila, universal mind ginagamit nila .
Actually, I get what you're saying, sir. I realize yung core ng tinuturo ko ngayon,
galing sa loob mo yan.
I already knew this in the 80s, but I didn't know how to explain
Exactly.
it. Now I'm able to explain it, so I'm teaching students now.
Tsaka meron pa yun, meron elements of pedagogy. I'm saying there are some people who go into that.
So
other artists, they just go through like witness.
Letter. So
No, I'm talking about the different
you
ways of
do not
influencing.
pit one against the other. That's what I'm saying. Please do not pit heart-centeredness and intellect bound. That's what I'm saying. So please don't make it like a measurement for the others who do not deal with that.
It's one dimension of passing
Okay.
on knowledge.
Okay.
Now the problem with yung university scholarly abstract pedagogical way of doing it is that sometimes ang nakakapture niya is the mainstream approach. That's the main problem.
Alam mo,
So pag nandun ka sa university
I'll
setting,
get you back.
they will
I'll get you back to real reality. Intellectual mind, the computer mind, with all its multi-dimensions, I'd love to use it because it's part of the integrated, of what I am. I am made of spirit and mind. Okay? Pero there's too much talk of the mind being academics. I'm sorry, you're talking not to the right person because I'm a college dropout.
That's what I tell my kids. I tell them I'm a dropout. I only took up to first year. But I studied.
Yeah.
I taught myself
Alam mo,
with books,
walang taong
with
hindi
seminars,
nag-aaral.
with
You just develop thinking at the expense of the heart. So a lot of people lose the capacity kasi napreso sila sa loob ng intellectual mind. Hindi na sila manggaling sa puso nila. Kasi nawala na yung capability. Everything is thought, planned, computed, analyzed.
And are there contradictions between like personal and social transformation, right? When it comes to questions of art, if art contradicts ideology or intellect, as Surf is talking about here.
Art cannot go against anything. The nature of art is unifying and harmonic. So it is the other way around. It's the other vested interest that's going against art, which is mostly commerce. So that's a wrong premise to say art that contradicts. Art cannot contradict. If it contradicts, it's not art. The basis of art, the essence of art is from wholeness. We are all one wholeness. So how can you have contradiction when there is one? Can your finger be against the other finger? No. Fragmentation only happens when there is a loss of awareness of wholeness. Anywhere you find separation and fragmentation and conflict is a symptom of the loss of awareness of the reality of wholeness behind the appearance of separation.